Get the Democratic stronghold in San
Come in here.
Talk about a waste of time.
You gonna help me?
The party's shortly here, or when is it? When you get February?
Requested a hearing. Maybe he just wanted to go to Sandwich. Probably. He never met one he didn't like.
Oh, when I talked to Mary.
So for that matter, neither have I.
Wait, unless they cancel the play.
You started it. What?
I said you started it.
Sounds like the plan.
Just remembered something.
He's proud today? Yeah, that's a good day.
No, he's not. I don't believe so.
You don't need no vote.
He's been PD all day, so he's not going to show up for this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So this is different. Maybe they're not thinking of it.
Deborah, really? For
my
just to show up for this?
I think he really doesn't say anything. But you know, when I do schedule them for the two songs, the last little so we'll do that first. And they'll do the races. You guys have to
Right?
That'd be little promotions first.
Same thing with Tim Cassidy.
You guys have to, that's why she's you're gonna have to recommend
We have to vote on it.
Sweat, and you guys need to vote to appoint him, and then we'll start. Then we'll start the ceremony.
Okay.
Telling you, you've got it, Joe.
Weather stories on the front page.
But all these people leave after this.
Warm in here, huh?
Can we just make a motion?
No, it's just Tom. You already did the other two.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
For the sixth.
Sick.
For sick?
Yeah, because that's not on this. Right,
Oh, I'm sure they're looking for a replacement.
just for the sick.
Are they looking for a full-time community reporter?
Just their guidelines.
We're not going to. This is more just for your information. Okay. We were gonna actually talk about this at the next commission meeting.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think you need to, they don't need to vote on the organizational chart, but it'll fall under the organizational part. But we had so much stuff on the agenda today. So, yeah.
I know you've been deliberating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wherever I'm answering from, everybody needs an alias.
I was telling Tom, I went with the Chief Friday to that, Memphis Street Disc. It's very impressive. If it works, Doug, it'll be great. Boy, he's done some remodeling, I don't know. And the only thing is, like I was telling you, get them taken care of quickly, you wonder what the hell the rest of it come up with.
We're not supposed to have it, so I think
But if it works, it's gonna be great.
One of the things that I want to know, I like how they're doing any in-house drug testing. Just gonna plug in now. Just gonna plug these in.
Huh? I think it being 3 o'clock, we can call this meeting to order. I would request that
Pledge of Allegiance.
you join with me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm Deborah Simpkins, and I'd like to introduce Commissioner Whittam, Commissioner Mayhew, and Commissioner Tar.
and the staff present, Chief Christopher Adams, Captain William Clary, retired.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah.
This is the last meeting.
Last meeting.
Kick him out yet.
Captain Matthew Canfield, Lieutenant Richard Simmons,
Lieutenant Alan Drayton, and Prosecutor James Sawyer, and Lieutenant Simmons is missing.
I'm not sure. It's Lieutenant Cumming?
Rich is not here.
Okay, so just Lieutenant Simmons. Jim, I think, is somewhere in the crowd.
Oh, there he is.
Want to come up, Jim? Okay.
A quorum has been established, and there are 3 commission members present. So,
So, Commissioner, one order of business before we get to the promotional ceremony. That is for me to give you my recommendation for my choice for the lieutenant position. I'm pleased to provide you with the name of Thomas Sweat, Sergeant Tom Sweat, for that position.
Move that we accept his recommendation and promote Sergeant Sweat to lieutenant.
I second that motion.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
Well, then we'll move on to the fun part, promotions. So we have 3 promotions today. 2 of the officers are being promoted to sergeant. Officer Ben Black, he'll be a sergeant in the patrol division, and Detective Kevin Butler will become the new detective sergeant up in the detective division. And then, of course, you just voted on Lieutenant Tom Sweat. He's being promoted from a sergeant in the patrol division to lieutenant, and he'll be heading the detective division. So it's wonderful to see all the friends, the families here today to celebrate this very important day. I'm very lucky because I have a lot of good people to choose from when we do these promotional process. It's difficult to pick the people just because of the quality, but I'm very, very happy for the 3 of these officers to be promoted, and I'm looking forward to working with them in the upcoming year in their new positions. So I guess I would ask Ann, how would you like to do the swearing in? And I'll follow your lead. Of course, we thank former City Clerk Ann Kalajian for her help. She's been swearing in people here for, I don't know, 60 years. I know she swore me in, but, okay, I'm sorry. It's been a while. She still looks beautiful anyways. Would you like all 3 of them up, or do you one at a time? Come on up, Jeff.
As they go up front, I probably could tell a story about every one of them.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it'll probably be the last time I swear them in for anything. And I will quickly tell one story that I remember, and that's about Sergeant Black. I can always remember when he first came to the station. How old were you?
22.
And he,
12.
no. It seemed like he was 18, but he was 22, and I'll always remember what he said. He would say, he and I talked a lot, he said, "I will do anything I can to be a police officer," right? And he said, "I will work hard until I'm a sergeant." Here he is today. It's hard. If you will raise your right hands. You do solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge all duties incumbent on you as sergeants for the Laconia Police Department according to their rules and regulations, the laws of the state of New Hampshire, and the ordinances of the city of Laconia, so help you God. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ben. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ben.
Congratulations.
Kevin, reach over the bundle. Congratulations.
Yeah, where is Lou? Had a great time. Oh, for the picture. Do you have for the picture? You don't have this. Okay, so who do we have here that's going to be pinning you?
This is my son Ryan.
Okay,
All right, buddy.
so you're going to, okay, try not to stab your dad. Okay? There you go. There's a little hole.
Cute.
He really did step.
Good enough, because it's got to come off. It was the first time I let him do something.
Gosh. Okay, wait, where's Kevin?
Still
Oh,
hasn't
there.
hidden in his desk. My daughter, Karen.
You want to introduce her?
My daughter,
Hey,
Kaylin.
Hey, Kaylin. You've grown since the last time I saw you.
Yeah, a little.
Just try not to stab.
Yeah, I won't. There you go.
No, she's fine.
That was quick.
Come on.
Only hurt for a minute. Thank you.
Okay, who's next? Come on up, Thomas. Ann?
I'm more than 22.
Just barely.
Just barely, don't tell. I don't want to be in anybody's way. Thank you. We're ready? Yes. The only thing I can tell about Tom is you always wanted to sell me a moped. You can see I don't have it yet. Raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge all duties incumbent on you as a lieutenant for the Laconia Police Department, according to their rules and regulations, the laws of the state of New Hampshire, and the ordinances of the city of Laconia, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Tom.
I almost heard.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations. Thank you.
And who will be joining you up front?
Apparently my baby.
Okay. Introduce her.
This is my daughter, Catherine.
Ta-da. Here you go, Catherine.
Ow. Just practicing.
Very careful. Do the whole no. There's two.
Just make a new one.
It's a new shirt.
Yeah. Oh, just sticking it.
Yeah, that's fine.
There you
Just
go.
like that. All right.
That works. Well, that was exciting. While we have a captive audience, we have another little celebration. A little celebration for Commissioner Armin Mayhew. He just had his, what was it?
86.
47th birthday?
Yeah,
I
21st.
mean, 86th birthday on Tuesday. He's been a commissioner for, I think, 20 years now. And he's fantastic. He comes to all of the events. He gives every employee a birthday card every single year. So we appreciate his life and his service for the police commission. And go ahead and light it.
Don't like too many. I haven't got that much puff anymore.
You have to blow it out from over there.
You can't blow out 3. You got a problem.
Want me to go over there and say?
Oh, right from here, all across.
One represents the...
I was going to hold it for you to blow.
I'm going to say that.
Here you go.
Oh.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, can the 3 of you guys come on up?
Commissioners or whatever you want to do.
One badge.
3 commissioners, they want a picture with the promotion.
Yeah.
You guys want to
Yeah.
join?
Yeah, go over there.
We're-
Right in there and then just kind of folks gather in? Are they coming
They're going
out?
to come out, yep.
You go it that way, I guess, easier. Doug,
Thanks, Chief.
to get all the wires and...
No problem.
I just
You're
moved.
mixing me over
Yeah.
then, okay?
Commissioner, we need you back as well.
Under drink.
Kevin's always in the front.
Commissioner Mayhew, right here.
Can we we all keep an eye
There
on
we
it.
go.
Just gonna have
First
shift
one,
in the
you
back,
got
so
it,
I
you-
can see heads.
you got it.
Three in the back. I'm gonna have you come forward, right up. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for coming. You certainly can stay for the rest of the meeting, but I wouldn't if I was you. You can.
I'd love to see that one.
Al Lazard's back.
He doesn't show up as first call, but it's got.
Underdressed. I'm underdressed.
Hey, not.
Jacket. I'm underdressed.
You got a tie on.
I haven't looked at it.
I bet that little boy would like a piece of cake.
Yes, that's why I said, make sure them little ones get
Well,
cake.
maybe somebody can. Sure. Maybe somebody can.
Yeah. Maybe somebody can cut cake for the little kids.
There's only one there, right? Little
No,
boy?
there's two. Well, there's one that's real small, but
He didn't want his kids eating, so we never did.
Have you want this back?
We didn't put his own picture on it.
Back in the middle?
No, I'm not gonna argue with that,
Just open the window.
Okay, well, we can get back on to the agenda.
Formal agenda.
That's drafted, yeah.
How are you? I'm doing well, and yourself? I do well.
Item B under personnel matters. Training, the chair recognizes Lieutenant Allen.
Great. Last month, we conducted TASER recertification for all of the patrol and sergeants. This month, we're going to be conducting a mental illness response and suicide and unattended death responses. The mental illness we need to do every 2 years. The suicide prevention and response, coming up with a protocol for things to do as far as with the family members or whoever finds the person deceased. This came about mainly a recent suicide that we had. Lieutenant Simmons and I both knew the subject, and we kind of felt at a loss as to directions to give them, things, contacts for them, mental health people that they could speak with. So we're coming up with a list of protocols to help respond to that type of incident. That'll be taking place this month.
Lieutenant, that training on suicide, that'll be for all the officers, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's all I have for the training that's upcoming.
Miscellaneous Laconia Links. The chair recognizes Chief Adams.
So we had several articles in the links. The first one was a holiday safety message during Christmas and New Year's, just warning people to be careful about driving under the influence of alcohol. We had a picture of several of our retired employees at our annual Christmas party, which is always great because you get a mix of new officers with officers that have been retired, 30, 40 years ago. And here's 4 photographs of former lieutenants, captains, officers from back in the day, so it's always fun. And there's a reminder of the hands-free law that took effect July 1st. I also recorded a PSA on the radio. I think it seems like, as more months move on, I see more and more people on their mobile devices compared to when the law came into effect in July. So that's something that we want to continually get out there in the media, remind people, and take enforcement measures. And I think the last one was the advertisement for our latest Coffee with the Cop, which we had on the 20th, yesterday, I think.
Yesterday.
Yeah. I'll talk about that one in a little bit. And that's it for the Links.
The fact that, the non-cellular two-way radios can be used, is that based upon truckers and transportation and?
I think so, law enforcement, fire department, but let's face it, that can be distracting also, right? I mean, picking up, it's almost the same as picking up a phone and talking on it. But yeah, I think that's the reasoning behind it, was the first responders.
Resignations, retirements,
No, I don't have anything under that.
hirings. Again, the chair recognizes Lieutenant Grayton.
We just finished our process, our last hiring process. We've come up with 3 candidates that we're going to be hiring that are suitable for our department. I'm also going to be they're going to start on February 1st their start date is going to be. They'll have 4-week in-house training before they go out into field training with an officer. I'm also starting another hiring process. We'll have a PT test on February 6th down at the academy again. We still need to fill 3 more slots. Through this last process, we just came up with people that wouldn't make a good police officer, just not a right fit for our department.
And the 3 you have hired are certified?
They are not
Already
certified.
are not certified.
None of the officers that we're going to be hiring are certified, no. So they all need to go to the academy after they complete part of their field training. Hopefully, with this next round, we can possibly get some certified officers.
Get them in the academy altogether, or?
It all depends on what they have for spaces available down there.
So how many were in this, how many did we start off with in this last group? I don't remember. It was a big number, wasn't it?
Called 232
Yeah.
people. 65 said they'd show up for the physical, 27 showed up.
Yeah.
We then whittled that down through the interview process to 10 to 12 interviews with the chief, and then we started backgrounds on 10, and we got us down to 3.
3 people. So that still leaves us a little short of full staffing?
Still 3 short, correct?
3
with-
short.
With the promotions that just happened.
Yeah. Thank you.
Division Commanders Forum, Support Division, and the chair recognizes Support Services Division Commander, Captain William Cleary.
Just some clarification for the new commissioner, but these are the reports that we do annually in January. Sometimes I've been a little late, and they came in February, but the use of force report, good numbers this year. We had use of forces used in under 3% of our arrests, which is very good. We've also seen, again, a decrease in the use of our batons. We've had 0 strikes or control techniques with the batons, and we've seen an increase with our taser displays and uses, which we are fine with, and we attribute that also to the end result of less injury to officers and less injury to suspects.
Okay. The less use of batons, that attributed to because of the tasers, or?
We think it's a major contribution because of the tasers, but prior to the tasers, we had very minimal uses of the baton. We had, I think, the most we've ever had in one year was 3 baton strikes. Last year, again, we had none, and so it's been a decline in tool. It's not to say it's not a useful tool, but it's been a decline in tool.
Do the officers choose whether or not they want to carry?
They choose if they want to carry it on their belt. We found that when we went to the taser, some of our thinner officers and smaller officers had less room on their belts, and the taser does take up some room, so they were given the option to carry it or not. But they are all trained with it biannually as they're required to, so they are all trained with the baton.
With them?
Are there other types of training that are required but optional, Captain?
Not, the trainings aren't optional, all the training's mandatory.
Training mandatory, but...
The only thing that's optional is if they're carrying the baton on their
That's
belt.
the only one.
Yeah.
But if I could just make a quick comment, I mean, these are really great numbers when you look at the number of physical arrests we have, like the captain just said, and, I think it's a testament to maybe the culture, and we emphasize over and over, I guess what we call verbal judo, to try to use that to prevent force from having to be used, and I think that the officers do an extraordinary job dealing with some really stressful situations out there and getting people to voluntarily comply to the request to be arrested. So I think that's a big factor.
Is there a percent range, Captain, like, what, one,
The high, which is too high in my mind, is a 5% usage in arrest. We've always been in the 2 to 3% range. Very, very low, which is a minority, is about 1.5%. But you'll have some departments that are pushing 10%.
Yeah.
And 5% is on the high end, but you'll have some that are closer to 10%.
thank you.
And we believe what you've said before, is we have very accurate reporting. Our officers are reporting, if you see the number for open hand, it's in the 46 is the open hand. I mean, that's just because somebody was maybe during handcuffing, pulled away, and they had to hold them a little tighter. That's a reportable use of force under our standards.
Great, thank you.
And the firearm animal, I suppose that's to put an animal down.
Shooting an animal. Our attrition summary, we had 3 this year, and they were all full-time, and one was resigned during discipline, one was a regular resignation, and one resigned to another agency. Internal Affairs summary, and we had,
Excuse me, I have a question. Your first figures came off Roman numeral 2A2, but on the internal affairs summary, it gives a total of 4 for resignations or terminations, but it's 3 on
where are you looking at for?
the attrition.
I have 3 on mine. This is the internal affairs investigation.
Yeah.
The attrition, we had 3 officers leave.
Okay, all right, all right. So the figure would be different.
Well, they left for different reasons.
Yeah.
So on the internal affairs, we had 4, but that doesn't mean 4 officers. We had 2 of them. If you see in the bottom, 2 of those employees resigned during the investigation,
Right.
but we completed 1.
Okay, all right. Okay. I was confused, as you could tell.
It's okay. Because unfortunately, with the internal affairs, those are the charges, not number of investigations or people. So there's more charges than people, because some of them were charged with more than one offense.
For the one, okay. All right, thank you.
Question on that. Is, when someone gets a letter of reprimand, is that something that, is there a time element as terms of how long that stays in somebody's file? Does it get removed after?
Depends on what class the offense is, and the officer, it doesn't get automatically removed. The officer has to ask the commissioners in non-public for removal of any discipline, and they have to meet the requirements to even have that removed.
So there's a process they have.
There's a
They
process,
have
that's
to
right.
go through. It's either 1 year, 4 years, or 7 years, depending on what the...
So you have different gradations of
Yes.
reprimands?
That's right.
Interesting. Can you give an example, Bill, Captain Clary, about violation of rules? What might that be?
A general order, if, for example, say somebody was supposed to go to school and missed school,
Okay.
that could be a violation of rules. Forgetting to put your car in park, and, because the director says you'll put your car in park, and it rolls down the hill and hits a pole. That could be a violation of rules, but it also could be operation of a vehicle, so, and that's why you have sometimes 2 offenses for
Right.
one
One thing.
thing.
Thank you.
Yep. And then on the initial personnel complaints, that's where we get the initial complaints, and we have a possibility of 59 offenses, and we've had 35 complaints this year, and that's kind of on the norm. One of the things is, though, I like to make clear is more than two-thirds of our complaints are initiated internally. Less than a third of our complaints are from the public. So more than two-thirds, and this is every year, more than two-thirds of our complaints is initiated either by a supervisor or a command staff officer.
When you do get a citizen complaint, well, can you just quickly summarize the process? How do-
It starts the same way if it was done internally. However, and the complaint goes the whole distance. The only thing that's different is when that complaint is over, I send a letter to the complainant advising them of the status of the investigation, whether it was founded, unfounded, or unsubstantiated. Those are three choices.
Good. Thank you.
VCI drug unit report.
And other than there were great numbers for the first year of that unit being a two-man unit for the whole year, one of the categories we added this year, which we didn't have last year, was the knock and talks. Those are when the detectives go out, they don't believe they have enough evidence, or they don't want to work a case with an informant, and they want to check a residence. They'll do a knock and talk. So they went out 74 times to residents, either knock and talking or talking to the individuals on the street that we had intelligence, or we had some other information that maybe they were in some type of illicit sales of narcotics. They arrested or indicted 82 people last year, seized over $27,000 in cash, 4 weapons, and pending to this date is still 25 arrest warrants for conspiracy or sale of narcotics, which that'll be taking place either the end of this month or sometime early in February. So that would go on next year's numbers, but that work actually took place in 2015.
Any idea how many of those indicted cases have been disposed of?
I don't have those numbers.
No, that'd be a Superior Court thing.
Well, they sent us the minimus is when they're completed, because we need that to get rid of our evidence, and we could run that track. I mean,
I was just curious. These end up dragging on and on sometimes.
a lot of these ones, you know, the large sale ones, it takes a couple of years to go through. We have one that just finished pleading to federal charges, and so some of those do take a little while, but the local charges, we can usually get in and out of the court within that year.
An asset forfeiture fund.
I don't know if I mentioned it a couple of months ago that we will not have, though that money you saw seized, a lot of that money came back to us. I shouldn't say a lot of it, less than 50% of it came back to us under the federal forfeiture statute, which this is a memo outlining that it's going to be suspended, or it has been suspended. So we will not be receiving any more federal forfeiture monies. However, state forfeitures are still open for the time being, and last 3, we've gone through the state statute, and the AG's office is working those cases for us. So our last couple of larger purchases that we've made was with forfeiture money. That money's going away through the state, through the federal forfeiture program.
Got the federal forfeiture money, which we're not going to see anymore. Where will that be going now?
Well, we won't be giving them that money anymore.
Yeah, no, but where
So
will...
we'll either have to get it forfeited us through the state AG's office. Maybe we can get it forfeited to us in a disposition in a case, but that's, there's no case law for that right now.
No, because that's apt to hurt us, because that money, as you say, is used...
We don't use it a lot because it's not a lot, in this realm of things, we're not taking in a lot of that money.
Okay, yeah.
Or we're not getting a lot of it back.
Yeah.
But it's, any bit helps.
Yeah.
And you heard the captain say, for now, as far as the state forfeiture goes, I know there's a bill that's out there that's looking to funnel those funds away from local police departments to the general fund, which obviously will have an impact
Yeah.
somewhat on us and certainly bigger agencies that use forfeiture money.
So it hasn't been a significant resource for you guys anyway, the federal forfeiture money?
You know, it's about $2,000 at a whack for us that we get. They won't take it unless it's over 2,000. And, you know, so we're sending them $4,000 and $5,000 at a time. When we get our percentage back, it's you know, that 60% range, and we're getting $2,000 to $3,000 back at a time, which is very nice. We don't count on that money, and we've used it when we've built up some money in the funds to make some purchases.
It's all budget related.
It is, but
All the
the
way
thing
to the
is, I don't budget to spend that money, because you don't know what that money's gonna be.
Operations Division, the chair recognizes Commander Captain Canfield.
We're still working on solidifying this middle school DARE program dates, but hopefully that'll be happening in February. It'll be over the course of 2 weeks. That'll be taught by Officer Michelle Cardinal. Motorcycle Week planning has started already. The sled dogs will be February 12th, 13th, and 14th, as long as there's snow. So we'll be helping out with doing some traffic points on that, as well as the CERT team. The other thing is, after the San Bernardino shootings, we put out I think we put out a press release and also some tweets on the active shooter presentation that we've been doing. We developed this program in 2013, geared towards civilians and how they can react to an active shooter, whether it's in a workplace, a public building, or whatnot. So we put that out again after the San Bernardino shootings, and we had an overwhelming response. I think at this point, probably in the area of 200 to 250 people. We've done a number of different presentations, and we continue to do them. We did one at the Gale Memorial Library on the 12th. That was attended by probably about 60 people. We have another one planned there for January 26th, next Tuesday night at 5:30. That one is full as well. So we continue to get these requests and put it out to educate the public.
Cat, on active shooters, do you plan, or maybe you already have, and I don't know about it, do you plan on having something like that in the schools?
We work with the schools pretty closely. The schools are a little bit different in their response to an active shooter because they have responsibility towards kids, especially elementary school. So they have plans in place, but we do work very closely with them, and we're in pretty constant communication with them as well.
So if a business or an organization was interested in having a presentation, they can call you?
Yes, they can actually contact Cheryl, and she's keeping a roster and signing them up for the various classes.
Good.
What was the reaction on this first one you had at the library for the...
It was very well received. A lot of good questions. People were very happy to attend.
Legal Division, the chair recognizes Prosecutor James Sawyer.
Just to let you know that there is another commencement for the Recovery Court that's coming up. It's going to be on February 9th at noon at the courthouse. 2 individuals are going to be graduating from the Recovery Court, Caitlin Millette and Jeffrey Cody, and it's absolutely amazing where they came from. I didn't know Jeffrey prior to his entry into the court, but I think the Laconia Police Department is very familiar with Miss Millette. And you might have seen her in the news, both of them actually in the news, doing different presentations, and it's just absolutely amazing where they were and where they are now. They are 2 of the stars of the program for sure, and I expect that they'll continue on with their life productive.
Jim, I assume that they're going to be on some probation-type supervision?
Yes, they'll still be on probation for whatever the term is, and they will come to Recovery Court on occasion. One of the past graduates, actually 2 of them, one more so than the other, comes at least monthly. Nicole Center, she graduated the last time, and they I think, enjoy and the support of the program, and it's part of their recovery, because recovery is never ending for them, and they use it, and it's a testament to the program that they feel comfortable going back and seeing the people that brought them through the program.
How many participants are involved in that right now?
It's a guess. They may know better than I do. I'm going to say 8. So it's always in flux. Like, there's 2 going out, another one's close to graduation, which I would see within the next 3 to 4 months, perhaps. And there's, some people do not make it, and there's attrition as well. But the ones that have made it so far, I'm not aware of any of them coming back into the system as of yet.
Do you recommend people for that program?
Yes. Anybody really can. It usually comes from the defense bar, but if I have a case that I see, I'll talk to the defense attorney, and they have to submit an application. It comes from the individual.
Make that decision independent of the police department to make a recommendation for the program?
Yes, yep. I work pretty autonomously within the police department, but it's not up to me whether they get into the program.
Right, I understand.
It's be an application or petition by the defendant, and then that is brought before the team, and the team would decide whether they are appropriate. They would do an ORAS, which I'm sure you're familiar with, a screening. That's one part of it. They would look at the liability of the person, whether they have a significant enough liability to warrant the amount of resources, supervision for that individual. We don't take low-level offenders into the program.
Who comprises the team?
Myself, the county attorney, the judge, Jackie Abakoff, she's the director at Horizons. One of her case managers is also on the team. Brian Loans from Belknap County Restorative Justice is on the team. Jesse Friedman as well, and then Serene or Trish from the probation department. That comprises the team. So it's from everybody that's involved. And actually, the superintendent or his representative will be there. They don't come every time, but they are considered part of the team. So it's either Don Gray or the superintendent of the jail that will be there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Orders and bulletins. The chair recognizes Lieutenant Grayton.
Captain Canfield went to firearms recertification instructor. He's going to be going to the New England Law Enforcement Executive Development Seminar at the FBI on March 21st.
Leave your money at home there, Matt.
Yeah, don't.
Interesting venue for a training.
Detective Harand is going to be attending juvenile crime and gang intervention training in Rochester. It's being sponsored by the Rochester Police Department. Okay. Newly promoted Lieutenant Sweat will be going to training with Primex. It's contemporary leadership in law enforcement, so it's a mid-level leadership training class for him.
And the question is, I know a lot of former officers work for Primex.
Yes, including the previous chief in Concord.
Is that who conducts these training sessions at
Some-
Primex? Are those kind of individuals?
Sometimes Chief Barry, he really is outreach and
He's the city's
support.
rep- He's the city's rep from Primex for loss prevention and everything for the city, so he does the, out to the customers more than, but he just
Yeah.
did a training for us last month for bloodborne pathogens. He came up, we'll call Primex and ask him for training, and he came up and did the training here for us.
And they have a great training team down there, a lot of diverse backgrounds. Ty, who's what's his, is he the CEO, I guess the CEO, right, was a former chief up years ago in Plymouth. But they have varying backgrounds there, and a lot of these leadership courses, maybe not specific to law enforcement, but we can still use that, obviously, in the law enforcement world or the corporate world, so it's really, really good training.
Is that a fairly new entity, Primex, or is it?
No, they've been around for quite some time. I think they're kicking up their training a little bit more over the last few years, and they have the new facility down in the basement that they just built.
Over 25 years.
Yeah, they've been around for a while.
I always thought they were just an insurance company.
Well, they're one of the few that can provide insurance
Okay.
to municipalities.
Okay, that's what I
And they got out of the healthcare insurance a few years ago, so they don't have the healthcare anymore.
Thank you.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Commission action. Acceptance of the December 17th minutes. The secretary's draft of the minutes was sent to you, and a copy is in your meeting packet. Please let me know if there are any errors. Are there any corrections to the minutes as distributed? If there are no corrections, the minutes stand accepted as distributed.
No suggestions.
Review of monthly activity reports.
At the next commission meeting, we'll do an in-depth analysis of the year-end numbers, comparing them to the previous year. Just those numbers are still being calculated. I don't think there's going to be any major surprises. Calls for service, I think, were up about almost 2,000. But the crime stats, I think, like I've said at several of the meetings, are pretty much on par or maybe slight decreases. But we'll have a better idea of those numbers for the February meeting, and we'll discuss those.
The increase in calls, Chief, is that a lot of them attributed to drugs, or is it a variation?
You know what, I think it's a variation. It just seems busier, during day shift. They're just going a lot of different, they're not major calls, but just a lot of calls. Some of it is attributed to substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, and some of it's just petty type calls for service. But all those numbers go up and down throughout the years. And
At the monthly fleet report, Chair recognizes.
I thought the
Captain
lieutenant
Clary.
was going to drive the new van over because he guaranteed to be on the road before I retired, and
It's at the PD.
so I don't know if that even represents it, but hopefully we'll start leveling out our mileage again, but I think we're in good shape with our fleet, and everything's on par right now.
Okay. Criminal Investigative Unit. Statistics.
Those numbers, have, if you can see, have gone up in several categories. And unfortunately, they'll be running a detective short until one can be reassigned from patrol, but patrol is so thin themselves, I don't see that coming relatively soon.
Is that another promotional in-house opportunity?
That's a transfer.
it's
not
yeah,
transfer?
that's correct. So somebody from the patrol division will be transferred up to
Okay.
BCI. It's not a promotion.
Do you make that choice, Chief, or do the people put in, a patrolman request being transferred, or?
The lieutenant will put out an email for that special assignment, and then they'll have to provide you with a memo, and then staff will decide who's the best fit.
There's a drastic increase in property recovered. 16 grand to 76 grand.
Well, and that sometimes is just one item that makes, that's not an accurate, I don't like looking at those numbers, I almost wish we didn't put it there, but we track that dollar value, but one item can make that jump drastically and throw everything off for the year.
Increase in felonies, is that due mostly to drug-related offenses, or?
I don't know if it's just felony drug-related, but probably,
I'd say so.
half of those are because of that. Because they pull a number for every single time they do a sale.
Yep.
Patrol Division statistics.
Chief talks those.
These are the numbers that I
Sorry.
talked about earlier. I think they responded to 88 general disturbances in December, 30 or 33 domestic violence calls, 10 attempted suicides. So definitely busy and steady, and like I said, as far as the criminal stats go, I don't think there's any real surprises. I don't think there's really any huge increases besides the shoplifting. And we've talked about that almost every meeting. We are working with several stores to try to see what we can do to reduce that number.
That Walmart's a big part of that, I assume.
Walmart's a big part of it, the reconfiguration. It's now our jurisdiction. I know I've spoken to the captain several times. We have some training coming up, and we're looking to work with the corporation and their loss prevention department to see what we can do to try to reduce some of those numbers. Obviously, it's beneficial to both sides, to them for the losses that they're sustaining, and for us, obviously, the amount of man hours that it takes to go up there, investigate, sometimes doing arrest warrants for multiple people. It's really time-consuming, so.
They have a policy where they prosecute violators?
They're pretty aggressive up there. They have a loss prevention team that's very aggressive, and hence all the calls to us, so they do prosecute.
And the budget printout. Kevin Clary.
We're looking fine, and I've spent a lot of time the last week, and I'll come back next week and spend some more time with Captain Canfield so that he feels comfortable with that moving forward.
Just a question on that. I noticed it looks like the overtime percent left is down there.
We haven't been reimbursed and all that yet. We have a couple of grants that are waiting to be reimbursed into that, so those haven't shown those reimbursables yet.
Okay. I noticed the training was down, but now it's back up.
That was the same thing.
Same thing,
Same thing?
that
Okay.
reimbursables still had to go back into there.
It was a Homeland Security training. We did at least one, or if not two, and that was pretty significant amount of money that we put up front.
It looks like everything's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
And the monthly traffic statistics.
I don't think there was anything extraordinary. I said this last time, I think some of our accident numbers are down, and that's because of the weather. We've been fortunate, knock on wood, we've had 2 snow events this season. I think we're going to dodge the next big snowstorm, hopefully, so that kind of keeps things relatively low.
Correspondence to and from the department. Chief Adams.
I think there were some correspondences from the department to various businesses and individuals throughout the Christmas season. We received a ton of treats, cookies, food, cards from, like I said, businesses and just individuals thanking us, so we're very obviously appreciative of that. There was a thank you for Detective Neri for an incident that she worked on, and the person was extremely thankful and thought that Detective Neri went well beyond and above what she should have done. Thank you to Officer Carlson, I believe. And I'm not sure what that one was for. Thank you to Sergeant Cameron, I believe, Lieutenant Simmons for, I think it was a medical aid type call. It may have been untimely, I'm not quite sure. Thank you from our latest intern, who was with us for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 months. She was very, very thankful for everything that she got out of her intern, and is moving on. Another thank you to the police department and Officer Carlson from a family that received some, I think it was Walmart gift cards during the Christmas season. It was actually nice to hear that, because as you know, we do a lot of deliveries of presents and gift cards to needy families, and, you know, most of the times you don't hear back, but when you do hear back and you see something like this, how it really affected a family and a child, and this family just was going through tough times and was so appreciative of the gift cards, and it really allowed them to give their children a decent Christmas, so it's nice to see that. Guilford Police Chief thanked us for helping out with one of their big underage drinking party. They arrested a bunch of kids, and then there was an email to Sergeant Sweat. He did one of the active shooter presentations that the captain talked about, and they were very appreciative of the information. And I think that was it.
And moving on to the chief's report.
So I think there was 32 report cards, and all of them were A's, which is pretty phenomenal. I don't think we usually get that many, so that's even more impressive that we had that large amount, and I think every single one was an A.
At what point, Chief, did citizens, are they presented with filling this out?
They're presented, or they're supposed to be presented, obviously we're not perfect, but at all traffic accidents and all criminal cases, they are supposed to be given a report card to provide feedback. But if you think about, the numbers, we probably go to 800 accidents a year, probably over 3,000 criminal cases a year, or maybe it's less, but I think it's around 3,000. And we usually get back, 300 to 400 cards?
Yeah, that was on the high end. We were
Right.
down in the 200s the last couple of years, but I think it's turning back up again.
Right, so I figure that if somebody really has a complaint and is eager to file a complaint, they're either going to come down, and it's going to be an internal investigation, or they're going to fill out one of these cards. So I can only assume that for the most part, people are satisfied. Approval of commission attendance report. You have your attendance report there. I think Commissioner Mayhew had perfect attendance, and you had a couple of days off for obviously good reason, and you're 100% so far, so good job. I think you have to take a vote on that to accept them.
I move we accept the report. as
I
presented.
second the motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Like I said earlier, we had our latest Coffee with a Cop yesterday. I think it was the 6th event. We were at the soda shop, so we appreciate that. And we had, I think, 7 or 8 individuals that came out, and we talked straight for a whole hour from all kinds of topics, from that oak tree on Union Avenue to drugs and everything else. But like I said, this program has really, really worked out well. So we'll continue doing that in the new year.
Chief, I was wondering, I really like this format here, and I was wondering if there's a similar format that's used for like the support division and operations, so they have like annual goals and objectives. Do you do that for other divisions?
No, this is really department-wide goals and objectives. We used to have the problem-oriented policing projects as well. We kind of shifted over to the community initiatives, and then, of course, we have the strategic plan, but it's really department-wide, the goals and
Individual
objectives.
divisions don't have like
No, not really.
a team meeting or come up with a,
Sometimes they would fall into one of these categories, and it would be more of a detective or a patrol goal.
And I think probably it happens, but it's a little less formal than this. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but
I think we're not a huge department, so being a relatively small department, people are tied into those goals.
yeah.
So they might have their own goals amongst their own shift, but they're all tied back to those for the most part.
so
I think the way they do it is good, because everybody in the department is involved,
that.
whereas if you department
Very
hires,
good
then, well, this is my department, I ain't gonna worry about
you go.
that. I like this format
too.
because everybody's involved.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the POP project, the community projects, always tie in with these.
yeah, and we, the last, I think it was a year ago, that we officially stopped doing POP projects, even though we continue to work on the ones that we had in previous years. I had changed the format for the POP projects and made it more of a team effort, 10 people, in tackling huge social issues. We kind of got to the point where we're like, what else are we going to do? Because we've been doing this for 10, 11 years. So that's why we switched over to the community initiatives, to continue to have that tie with the community and address it. But I'll go over these real quickly, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Coffee with a Cop, like I said, we spoke about that. We had 6 events last year, and we'll continue to do that this year. Police Athletic League, that's a new initiative from last year, and we've been working on that. The captain actually joined that team. We have several officers that actually coach either soccer or Little League. Steve Orton, the school resource officer, he's involved in a weightlifting program at the high school, and he's also the assistant coach to the football team. And we've been in talks with the Boys and Girls Club, and very soon we're going to start going over to the Boys and Girls Club at least twice a week for scheduled sports activities, hockey, basketball, things like that. And the benefits of this program are obvious: to reach out to kids, to form that relationship when they're young, with the ultimate goal to teach them to make, good decisions and never ever get hooked on drugs. So, Ward Hall meetings, this one kind of stalled out, and my thought process behind this was bringing community resources to individuals in their own community, rather than having a meeting, let's say, at the police department where they have to come down to us. We actually go to them. And we kind of did this. We piggybacked with the National Night Out event up at 103 Blueberry Lane. We invited some more of our community partners, more than usual. And it actually worked out really well. There was a lot of positive feedback from those who were in attendance, but also those service groups saying, we signed up 10 people that never even knew about us. But that was the only one we did. I really wanted to do 3, and we're kind of struggling with how do we continue to do this. And so this is going to continue on into this year, and Lieutenant Sweat's on that team, so I'll be having some conversations. I like the idea. I'm just having a little trouble logistically getting it going. Physical fitness, this has been one of our goals for several years. We really pride ourselves on the level of fitness throughout the department. I think pretty much everybody works out one way or another. We have several fitness challenges every year. The last one, Robin Moyer was the lead on, and I'm not quite sure what the percentage of it participation was. It probably went down a little bit, but we're constantly messaging people, emails, posters, healthy eating, healthy lifestyles, and I think it's important for obvious reasons. And then the last one, the Police Explorer post, which is moving along nicely. We're pretty much right on task with the timeline that was put out here. They've gotten all of the infrastructure set up, and they're actually in the recruiting process now, with hopes that that program will start off on February 1st. So
Now, what age group does that affect?
that is 14 to 21 years of age. So all great programs, I think. I've been very happy with how they've progressed, and we'll continue to progress into the new year and have a couple of new ones, and we'll talk about those ones at the next Police Commission meeting.
Just want to, can I back up to the
Absolutely.
fitness, standard? Just
Absolutely.
a question, Chief.
Captain, I know you've only been there just a couple of weeks, but is there anything that you can foresee where the department might be able to assist you in your new...
Assist me or me assist the department?
The kids, whatever.
Well, Steve Orton has already been in and spoken to all 3 of my classes with the applications for the Explorer post. So we're going to work hand in hand with the Explorers. My students are going to get credit if they join an Explorer post. I already have 4 of them that are Explorers in other communities, so any Laconia student or a student that lives in a town that doesn't have an Explorer post can join Laconia's, and I'll give them extra credit for just being an Explorer.
Commissioner Taha.
Back to the fitness standards. Do you have the ability to manage an employee who's clearly they get to the point where they're not physically able to perform the task of being a police officer, other than the encouragement and the constant reminders about fitness?
We have a physical fitness coordinator who went to, what's the school? Cooper Institute in Texas, and is certified. So he could absolutely do that. I'm not sure if we've run into that as for an officer, have we, recently?
Not that they couldn't, we'd have had officers that needed assistance, but not that didn't succeed after the assistance.
And usually that's like cardiovascular, running, usually, for the most part. But yes, we could do that.
Is that part of an annual performance evaluation? Do you do those, or?
Yes.
Yes, we do. Each employee has a yearly evaluation. That is a category.
that
Yes, that is a category, yep.
As well as promotional.
promotional?
Actually,
They get points.
Points on the promotional exam if they pass the physical fitness test.
That's good.
And they need it to maintain their certification. They'll lose their certification if they don't.
Sorry, Jim?
They'll lose their certification if they don't pass
Yeah.
every 3 years, is it?
3 years.
Okay.
So you can't have too many people that joined before that date left.
I was going to say, there's several that are grandfathered that do not have to take that. Was it 2000?
2001.
Okay. So 2001, you're now required to pass that, otherwise you're not eligible.
And the state actually does it well, because we could discipline them, but the state would take their certification away. So it kind of helps us all out. It's on the employee. The state's going to take your certification away.
Thank you.
Right to know law?
That was accidentally put on there. It was, that's for your reference. Just
It's a good reference.
For your review, yeah.
Good
So,
reference.
absolutely. And that is it, unless you have any questions for me, be happy to answer.
Any old business?
Nope,
New business?
nope.
Confirm the date of the next regular
February
meeting.
18th.
Or special meeting, February 18th. Other business? Citizen comments.
Mr. Chair, just a couple of quick, one clarification question. When you were talking about resignations, and you may have had one officer who resigned facing 2 disciplinary measures, did any officer resign as the result of a use of force?
No.
Okay. And then my other thing is, you forgot a letter, Chris, about the library. And
Oh,
your,
yes.
and your walkthroughs, and I was just wondering if you would talk about that a little bit, because I know that that's been not a little bit, but it's been a big problem, and if you could update us on where the K-9 program is.
So the email she's referring to is from Randy Bro, the director of the library, just thanking us for the presence in the library. We've been trying to use on-duty personnel to do some walkthroughs, and then during the holiday season, we had 2-man walking beats downtown, and obviously they had a heavy presence at the library. I think between those patrols and some presentations that we gave to employees there, I think it's improving. You know, they had some,
From the letter, and I knew
Yeah.
that for a while there, it had been kind of.
they had some problems, some of the transient people,
Yeah, okay.
people going in there and hanging out all day, and it's something that we're gonna have to monitor continuously. As far as the K-9, there's been really no progress on that at this point. We've been busy with, but that's something that we will, once things quiet down, end of the year, start of the year, promotions, hiring, that's something we'll start looking into.
Okay, thanks. So you are still committed to that program?
Oh, absolutely.
The homeless population, has there been an increase, or is it
No, I think.
stable?
I think the core homeless that live out on the streets has remained pretty steady. I would say anywhere from a dozen to 20. Of course, the larger population are the couch surfers, families that don't have a permanent home, that go from home to apartment, and that's far larger. Still an issue. We're still responding to calls for service for, panhandling, urination, theft, things like that. So we belong to the Homeless Coalition. We attend the monthly meetings. Sergeant Ashley, who's obviously retiring soon, he attends those, and now Sergeant Cameron's going to be taking his place. So we have a very active role in that organization.
Chief, I do have one question about, I want to go back to the, I want to ask you about the, this launch program that we read about in the paper recently over on Messer Street.
Yes.
I just wondered, I know you guys some people had a tour of the facility over there. Is the management of that facility, are they required to notify you if someone leaves the program without authorization at all, just for?
Not that I know of, and this came up during our conversation yesterday. It's a private organization, it's a private company, it's a cash-only business, and the topic of conversation yesterday was what sort of regulations and oversight is there, and I'm really not sure. I'm assuming there's some sort of oversight for safety and that type of stuff, but I really don't know if there's any other oversight. So we've been in communication, they've been in touch with us many, many times since they started. We haven't had any real issues at all at any of their facilities. Obviously, the new ones on Mesa Street are just coming up. I know that they're staffed 24 hours with employees, but so far, it's worked out. And I've talked to a couple of parents who have been happy with the services that they provide.
They don't take anybody who's under criminal justice supervision, as far as you know, do they?
I don't know.
I believe they would. My understanding is they would.
They would?
It's just a matter of what the fines. If they have
Which
the
goes back to-
money, then they
yeah.
can stay there.
Which makes me wonder if if they do that, whether there should be some notification requirement to the PD that they have somebody in the facility who's...
I'm not sure if there are any,
Yeah.
but I know
The fact that they were
when they first
considering.
opened up the Riverbank House,
Yeah,
there was some communication between
yeah.
that business and probation and parole and
Yeah.
also the Recovery Corps program. I'm not sure if it ever worked out that somebody was able to stay there or not, but
Well, Jim, if they're under criminal if they're facing criminal charges, they have to report and change of address anyway with the court system. You can't just move around if you're in a criminal process. You're required to notify the court if you move. Not everybody does that, and that's their problem.
Especially,
You know.
especially in a treatment setting, they just leave. And I guess my point is that if they are taking people who are under criminal justice court order, that if they do leave, there should be some notification to the PD.
That's something we can look into. Yep.
People who leave without authorization, because technically that's a violation of the court order, and you
Yeah.
guys would have to
Well,
get
that's-
involved in that.
yeah, I haven't seen any order indicating that they have to live there. I've not seen that. It's really a fact of if they're on supervision, whether that was a place they could stay, or whether they're going to be in recovery court, could they stay there during?
Okay.
So it was not in order that they stay there.
Yeah.
So-
Thanks, Jim.
Is there a need for a non-public session?
There is a very short one.
Will you be making any announcements afterwards? Or?
No announcements.
Do you want to read that?
I move we go into a non-public
You got-
session.
You gotta
Oh,
read-
got it.
Read it verbatim.
Huh? Read that?
No.
Oh.
That.
It says on it, A through H.
Dismissal, let's say, RSA 91-A:311A, the dismissal, promotion, compensation of any public employee, the disciplining of such employee or an investigation of any charges against him or her, unless the employee affected, one, has the right to a meeting, and two, request the meeting be open, in which case this request shall be granted.
You made that in the form of a motion?
Move that we go into a non-public
For a
session.
second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If they're on leaving, we don't have to move.
They're just disconnecting the live feed.
Microphone's off.
Is it off?
The microphone's off, yes. Do you want the video stopped as well?
Was it going to be up here? Are the numbers going up there?
Yeah.
Captain?
I don't know, did you put it in on the screen?
Okay, no,
I
that's
don't have
fine.
anything here.
This is for the sick leave review.
Sure, it's off. Microphone's off. She pulled it out.
These numbers were probably the best numbers we've had in years. We've been over 200 days total in a lot of years, and that we're down to 167 this year. We only had one workers' comp loss of time claim, which was good, and one FMLA leave. I don't see any babies coming in the future, but that's when you'll see these numbers jump up, is when we have 3 or 4 babies born in the same year, but
Well, it's been kind of cold, so I'd look ahead 9 months.
Yeah. Hopefully there's no big storms that massive loss of power.
our couple of heavy hitters have kind of mellowed out.
Left.
One's left, and
Captain, do we have anybody abusing this,
we can't, as I say every year, it's very hard to show abuse.
yeah,
The 2 heavy hitters, one is Marnell, she has left.
Yeah.
The other one is Cheryl. Cheryl has a lot of health issues herself. Her husband has a lot of health issues. And if it's a month a day, she can go 2 months without taking a day, and then you'll see 3 days in another month. But it's not an abuse. It's very hard to, and I've had those conversations when I do her evaluation, and she knows it, but she's still a very valuable employee.
Yeah.
How many days of sick leave do the officers accrue and do the civilians accrue?
Yeah, they accrue 13 a year.
13.
Max of 90.
Some people think that I can take one a month.
Yeah.
I accrue one, and we have patrolmen that, call in sick when maybe they were tired and not sick, and then we'll have another employee come in who is sick, and next thing you know, we got the flu running around. So there are sometimes you wish people would call in sick, and they don't, and then...
Do they have to submit leave slips?
Yes, we have leave slips, vacation, personal, comp, and you have to do them certain days in advance, and they have to be approved.
They also get tracked in Guardian Tracking, the system we use. So it gets entered in there, and it was after 5. It gets pinged for a
flag.
review, so there's an automatic flag, and it has to be reviewed, so.
And if anybody takes, if out more than 3 days, they need a doctor's note to come back.
Yep.
I'm hoping when people see we're one of the few departments that still allow you to go out with 90 sick days when you retire. Well, the old people, but, but it's a younger generation working. It's, we have husbands calling in sick or because the baby's sick and the wife has to go to work. It was never that way before. And, that's...
Generational.
Yeah.
The world.
The fact that staff know that you're monitoring this, to me, is an important thing. And following up, when you see...
Well, every year, the chief sends out a letter for those who have used no sick days for the year.
Exactly.
And this is another thing, like the fitness. This is they get staff points for this, for promotion. If you use, is it less than 3 days in 2 years? You're worth certain points. If you use less than 6 days in 2 years, it's certain points. So those who are vying for sergeants, they get on their best behavior for 2 years to earn those maximum points.
The reason I asked the question is, if you have so many days a year, if they don't use them, they lose them.
No, they build them up to 90
You can cure them
days.
to
Oh,
90.
they build them up to 90, okay. I was in the I thought that if you didn't use them, you'd lose them. So I was gonna say, when they get close to the point of losing them,
But after 90, they lose them, if they haven't taken any?
Yes.
Yeah, 90 is a ceiling.
That's as high as you can go.
Okay. But do civilians get sick leave payout when they retire
Yes.
also? They do.
In most, there's a few categories that the civilian benefits are a little different, but very few. Most of them are merit. So if something gets put into a contract that benefits the union employee, usually we would come to the commission and ask for the commission to vote that similar benefit for not only the civilians, but the sergeants and up who aren't covered under the contract. But there's a few things that is different, but not much.
And is that counted as service time, or is it a cash payout?
It's a cash payout in your severance if you retire from here.
Okay, so it's not credited as service time?
Correct.
Anything else?
That was it.
Entertain a
about that at the next
motion to
meeting.
come out of executive session?
anything else?
That's it.
Move we adjourn.
Hold on.
Oh,
He's got to wait till she plugs back in.
Move to come out of executive session.
Okay, go ahead.
move we adjourn.
No, move to come out of executive.
Move to come out of non-public session.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move to
Adjourn.
adjourn.
I get credit where credit. Get a cash out on that. Just
Second.
Oh, did you second his?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
There's so many things we have to follow.
Sorry, Doug, I was chatting.
No, it's all right.
Debbie,
I'm going to hold.
bring that cake to the station and
The cash
I
pay.
gotta go, I'm going to leave,
Cash
so
payouts.
no, you're not working tomorrow.
Is you can go out with 100% of the sick days and max at 90. I'm the last
I'll be,
employee that's
I'm
going
heading to
over
Vermont for a couple
5
of
days.
days.
when you leaving?
Skiing?
Tonight,
Guys,
today,
they go, they go
right now.
skiing?
Yes.
Good.
Skiing, so.
2 years ago when we signed the contract.
Don't break a leg.
No.
They retired after last
Try not
July. They retire if they're still here, can only cash in 50%. That's one of the things that city
Yeah,
council
Dems.
was adamant about, that was in the contract.
Bring the cake to the station and share it with the people there.
And I'm going to Vermont for a couple of days.